Hello, my name is Dennis King. A few years back, about 15 years ago, my father asked me to go down to Virginia because he wanted me to do a King family tree. I shared with my father, Dad, I don't want to do a family tree unless we do a family reunion. I said, because it wouldn't be any use of having a family tree and no one can see it, especially doing all that work. Because he said at the time, Dennis, we only got one living King family member. And after she's gone, it, all the information, no one would know it. So I went to Virginia after my father, John King, agreed to see my late Aunt Patsy King Baltimore, who was the wife of the late Roland Baltimore. And she shared with me the information, what she knew of at that particular time, being a 90-year-old woman. Now, what she said to me tickled me. She said, Dennis, you should have came almost 30 years ago when I was younger. So a lot of times I was asking her about the family history and how the family connection and who were family members. And while I was talking to her, I tried to rush her. She said, boy, you sit there and listen. And so she would tell me a story about the family. Then 20 minutes later, she began to give me the information, or she began to answer my questions. So as she shared the information, what I did is while I was down there, I went to the counties where the King family members came from. Fauquier, Culpepper, Rappahannock. Going there searching for court records to prove what she shared with me. And at that time, she didn't know even her grandfather. I asked her who was her grandfather. She didn't. So the court records helped me verify that information. So I found out her grandfather was John King, who had married a Charlotte. In any event, when I looked at the census record, I realized he had 10 children. So I tried to find them and couldn't find them. And so, in any event, I started looking at the 1870 census. And when I looked at the 1870 census, I found out something. It looked like there'd be all these kings in the Fauquier area had similar names or generation names. There was a Bellas in this line, a Bellas in my line, a William in my line, a John in this line. And so I said to myself, they're more likely their family. So in any event, I didn't know how to get in touch with those descendants, not even all the descendants in my line. So what I did is I left some information at the Plains in Virginia, saying if you know about any of these kings, then contact me. So we had the first family reunion. After having the first family reunion, about the second family reunion, it was this group of kings that called me and said they're coming to the reunion. I said, are you related to us? We don't know. So they decided to join with us. I said, just because your name is King doesn't mean that we're related. I said, we're going to have some hesitation. Let's try to prove it. We tried to prove it, couldn't find it. And to this date, we still couldn't find how we were connected. So what we said is, let's do a Y chromosome DNA, meaning that generally when you're talking about Y chromosome DNA, the Y goes from male to male to male to male. And so what we did is we test one male in that line and one male in my line. And when we test those males, we found out it was a match. Wow. I'm now excited now because now I'm going back looking at the 1870 census and realize more than likely these people are related. So then my cousin called me a few years after that, said, oh, I got this king that lives across the street. Come and see if he's related. When I met the man, I looked at him and I said, he's related. But we did a DNA test. And when we did a DNA test, we found out we were related. So he was from the Alfred and Francis. The first line was from the Henry and Winnie line. So we're in pursuit. Our next reunion is in Myrtle Beach. And we're in pursuit of our family members. Some of those we've taken back to almost Windsor and Susan King around the 1700s. And we know some of those descendants are John, Peter, Henry, and Winnie, Martha Thomas, whose descendants, Eugene and David Thomas, who came from the Bellis line. They went to Pennsylvania. Emily Ash, who had a son named Sidney Ash, and Channing Joe Ash was Emily's Ash mother, and William Ash, and Charles Ash and Cindy Ash. Emma Jackson that went to Peter King, and Nimrod and Peter King. Also, we got further descendants. Here we haven't found these lines, but Emmanuel and Evelyn and Turner and Corbin and Abner, Maurice from the Albert and Carolina King, they went to New York. Ed Bass, he's somewhere in Maryland. Claude Field and all of those people from the Henry and Winnie line, they're somewhere in Pennsylvania. Robert, he's from the Tolliver line. He and his descendants, some of the descendants went to West Virginia. And Robert was in Georgia. And Bessie Hiram is in Pennsylvania. We are still looking for these relatives and everything. We're trying to bring family together. We're going to do this through DNA tests or tradition, because we believe that the Kings from the Fauquier, Culpepper, Rappahannock are related. We came from, some of our slave masters were the Striblings, the Foleys, the Ashtons, the Ash. So if you think your people came from that, and you heard your last name was somehow King, if you think you came from that particular area, please contact me. Here's my information that you can contact me. We hope to hear from you. Again, our King Family Reunion will be the last week in July in Myrtle Beach. Please use this information to contact me so we can see whether you are related to me. Appreciate you. Thank you again for your attention. Goodbye. And wherever you are, have a good evening, good day, good night.